develop a 2D action/arcade top-down pixel art styled game using the engine Godot. The context behind this game is that you play as an IT technician based within a server room. Your main objective is to protect the servers within the room from the bugs which are trying to attack it. Within the later allocated minutes, the code along with the development will be discussed. For now, I'll hand over the mic to Zabashle to discuss the features and gameplay along with demonstrating it. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Sadil. And the first thing when we are able to see when we open the game is that we are introduced with a big title, which is Bug Squash, and it's a server rescue. The name is important because it's able to actually put us into a picture of what the game is all about. It's about squashing the bugs and being able to save their servers as well. And you and IT technician, you must be able to save the servers from the bugs. So being able to look at the title, we are able to also see that we are introduced with 3 buttons: the button of being able to play the game, the settings, and also the quit button. But for now, we're not quitting, but we also want to be able to play. But before we play, we need to be able to hear. The game needs to introduce us, and it's able to introduce us with the music. I want to reduce the music sound because we are presenting it. So we want to be able to reduce it and be able so that we can be able to speak clearly. But in the settings, you also have important other functionalities. The important functionalities like the being able to enable the tutorial from you starting, the sound effects as well. But the sound effects I'll leave open for now because they don't impact much until we are able to interact with the game. And it's important for you to be able to hear as a player, to be able to hear what you are doing. It makes the game experience much more nice. All right, so now what we're going to do is to be able to play the game. And what we're able to see as we open the game is that it's able to tell us that there are tutorial in level 1. But since I'm here, we don't need a tutorial. But if there is no one who is there to guide you, the tutorial is there to be able to understand how the game works. But since I'm here, I'll be able to guide you throughout. So what we do is that we press any button so that you can be able to start. As we open it, we're able to see that there are bugs that are moving around. And what we are seeing here is the bugs. Why are there bugs in a server room? And the reason for that is because it's a homophone. A homophone meaning that it is a simile or sefanisa ngesiZulu. We are saying that it's there are bugs. And the first thing when you see the bug, you want to be able to squash them or you want to kill them. So what we are doing is the same thing as well here. But I said I want to be able to give you a tutorial before I hit anything or do anything. The tutorial is that we are saying is that you can be able to move down, you can move up, you can move right, you can move left using the arrows. And after being able to move up, down, left, and right, you can be able to move in this canvas or in this arena. This arena is able to be created with tiles, and the tiles that we chose, the tiles that represent a server room. But besides being a tile that represents a server room, it also has wires. Because what's a server room without wires? It must be wires moving all around, being able to connect the data and move things around. And when it happens is that these wires get affected by the bugs that are affecting the server. Another thing that you can be able to see that keeps on popping up, which is coffee. You might be wondering why is coffee keep on showing up? But as an IT technician, you will know that coffee is one of a very important thing that you can be able to help you with your energy to be able to move around throughout the day because you get tired throughout the day being able to always keep on killing these bugs and trying to be able to debug and do all of this. So you want to be able to have coffee to be able to move faster and be able to debug everything at the same time. But what you can be able to also see that is interesting is that the bugs are always resisting the player. This is a functionality that the developers or the coding team will be able to explain in detail why the bugs are running or away from the player. The reason for this is because as a player or as a bug, you always want to hide. You don't want to be sure you show yourself because when you show yourself, that's when you die. So you want to be able to always run away from the player from the player. And even when you are coding, you always see that there is a bug that you just don't know where it comes from. So even for that, we wanted to represent that as well by saying that the bugs are always running away from you or you can't be able to easily access them. In our game, we don't only have one level, but we also have multiple levels. And here in levels 2, we are able to clearly see that there are even much more servers available. So it's not only one or two servers, but it's now 3 servers. Another thing that you can be able to see is that every time the bug interacts with the server loses the life. So this is represents the server is actually dying. So you need to act quick and be able to kill the bug before the server dies. As we are able to see, we're able to lose the server now. That means that we are losing our servers, which is not good for the business. So what you can do is add a firewall. A firewall is there to be able to protect the server from the bugs and be able to give you time so that you can be able to kill or move fast to be able to kill the bug. And as we can be able to hear with the sound effects, is that when you hit the bug, there's a sound that it gives, like when you're squashing into a bug or a cockroach with your foot, there's a sound that it makes, which shows that it's actually dead. And also, there is also a sound with when you are moving the sword. The sword here represents the skill of the technician. You know, it's like a sword. It's like a skill, as I say. So it must be able to be sharp, it must be able to be strong, it must be able to be firm. So even when he hits, it says shows that this is a person who is skilled. So now we'll move to the boss. And what you can be able to easily hear from the boss is that the boss has its own track, and the track shows or gives the mood to the player that, hey, I'm actually in the serious business now. And what you can be able to see interesting about the boss is that the boss is not easy to kill, which makes sense for games because you don't want a boss that is easy to kill. You want a boss that will take time to die. And what I've done is that I've used all the elements that we have. I've used the coffee to be able to move around quickly. I've used the servers to protect from the bugs. And what we are able to see is the feature or an extra nuggets feature is that every time I use a server, it reduces here, right? So what I do is that I use a server, press F, and then what you can see is that now I no longer have servers. I mean, firewall. So now I have to use firewalls wisely. I can't just use anyhow firewalls, and also that firewalls will always disappear in every limited time. So the developers would be able to explain how long it takes for the server to be able to be destroyed. Now I'm going to kill this roach so that we can be able to move to the nice part, which is the coding part. All right, we won. Now I'll leave it to Sahil.
Thank you for the informative demonstrations, Vashle. We will now move on to the development and coding discussion, which will be done by both Sandhya and Anele. I'll be leaving the lead to Sandhya to continue. Thank you.
Alright, so the first thing we'll talk about is the room the game takes place in, which is the main level. When you look at it in the editor, it's basically just a flat 2D room with a server room picture as the background. Go to 2D app. Around the edges, we place invisible walls, which is the blue lines, and they are static physics boundaries so that nothing can walk off screen. And at the top of that screen, there's just a simple label that shows the player, like which level they're on, level 1, 2, or 3. Now let's look at the code behind it. Two scripts work together to run the level. The first one is called game state, and its only job is to remember what level you're using on autoload so that it runs in the background the whole time. It has a function called next level, which adds 1 to the level number, and then a function called restart that restarts everything back to level 1. The second script is the level manager. It reads the level number from game state and automatically sets up everything, like how many bugs are to spawn, how fast they come out, and which types of bugs are allowed in their particular levels using a simple configuration list in the code. When the scene loads, the ready function reads that list and starts the spawn timer automatically. Now let's go on to the character, the player. Visually, the player is a pixel art adventurer, but underneath the player is a character body 2D, which is basically Godot's built-in physics body for 2D movement. In the editor, this scene is made up of three things: the sprite and invisible collision, so that the body shape that like the outline of him so he bumps into walls properly, and they're not forgetting his script. Now, our sprites are little animations that record every little movement. To see them, you click on the animated sprite 2D node in the player scene tree, and the animations should pop up at the bottom of the screen. If not, you look over at the inspector panel on the right, click on the sprite frames property, and then the panel will open up at the bottom. This is where we load the sprite sheet containing all his walk, idle, and attack frames for every single direction, like idle down or run right. Looking at the script, um, which is the code, it handles two main things: movement and attacking. Frame by frame movement is run inside physics process, which uses input get vector to read the WASD or arrow keys and calls move and slide to handle these physics automatically. For the attack, pressing space fires start attack to play the swing animation and sound, while a function called strike loops through nearby bugs in the front of the player and squashes them. Now we hop onto the enemies, which are the bugs. In the 2D editor for the bug scene, you will see only one single bug displayed. This is because the scene is our master template. Every single enemy in the game runs on this exact same script, bug.gd. If we had to add another enemy type by dragging another bug directly onto this 2D scene, Godot would link them as the same object, meaning if you killed one bug in the game, the other bug would instantly die too because they share the same live state. To prevent that, we separate them. Keeping one master bug keeps our project nice and clean. Our level manager just copies the single template at runtime while the game is playing and injects the unique visual, speed, and HP for our bugs. Just like the player, clicking the bug's animated sprite 2D node and opening the sprite frames property shows all the bug movements at the bottom. For bugs like the roach, it plays directional sheets, while single frame bugs are rotated using anim.rotation. This is also where we set up a custom death animation. When a bug's health hits 0, in the squash function, when we go back to the code, it stops moving and its body warps. The roach instantly flips onto its back while other bugs expand horizontally and closes down vertically before disappearing. To see this is where this is done, you click on the bug node, go to the inspector on the right, look under the node 2D section and open the transform drop down where our script adjusts the raw scale properties frame by frame. Then right at the same second, a particle node triggers a retro explosion that sprays like blood splatter and clouds, matching the bug's body color. This cloud is made up of 15 tiny individual square pixels. To set this up, we click our particle node, which is our CPU particle 2D, go to the inspector on the right and tweak a few things under the time and gravity drop downs. We turn the one-shot setting on so it only blasts once, and we set the explosiveness all the way up to 1, so all 15 cloud particles shoot at the exact same time, giving it that cloud effect. We turned gravity on the y-axis down to 0, so the smoke stays at the same area when the bug dies instead of just dropping down. Then we also used a property called lifetime of, and we set that to 0.8 seconds so that the script waits like for a brief moment for the cloud to blue, hides the bug sprite, and then completely deletes the node from memory. To explain further things like the power-ups, I will now like to call Anelia.
Thank you very much, Sadia, for elaborating more about the player, the game itself, and the other components as well, which was the bugs and the other things. I'll now like to take it here from the other components which we have that are basically part of the game. The one in front of you is basically the purpose of the game, which we call the server. As you can see by its visual representative, it's a small pixelated picture which shows or resembles a cartoon picture of a server or what a server looks like. Now, why do I consider this the purpose of the game? The server is one of those entities which we must protect as the player. So henceforth, it is the purpose of the game. Now, it is made out of a node 2D or embedded with other nodes, especially or specifically one of the other nodes, which is the collusion node. The collusion node enables the server to be static inside the game. Hence, that is why you cannot see it move or neither see the player pass through it. Now, it's not made to be static for a very long time, or we've not programmed it to stay static for a very long time. As you can see with the 0% above it, that resembles its health bar or its health status. Now, they're measured in integers. Once the health bar or the health status reaches 0, the server is programmed to disappear. May we please go to the sprites, the code scripts to show exactly what I mean about its functions. Now, under functions, you realize that there is a specific limit, not limit specifically, but the health bar, when it reaches 0, the code or the program sees that as true, which allows it to let the texture disappear or, texture free, basically. Henceforth, the server is not meant to be static for a very long time because of how we programmed it. Now, what depletes the health status for the server is basically the bugs, the same bugs that we should crash and the same server that we should protect. Now, the bug only gets to touch or hit the server once, and that one hit reduces the server's health. So it's one hit per bar, basically, how I can measure it. Henceforth, the bugs destroy the server and the server disappears. Now, moving forward to our next shape or component that we have, which is the firewall. Now, in front of you is a visual representative of the firewall, basically the protector of the server. Now, we use this to protect the server, and it is also embedded with a 5-second timer that allows the server to be protected for at least 5 seconds, meaning the bugs cannot penetrate nor damage the server because of the firewall that is next to the server, protecting it from the bugs. Now, this gives the player time to crash other bugs or destroy the bugs that are near the server, which will deplete the server's health status. Now, it is also embedded with the node or the collision node, which basically allows it to stay static, but programmed not to stay static because of the code that is embedded to it, which is reducing the timer to 5 seconds. Now, may we please show the code for the firewall? Now, basically, this is the script, or rather the code of the firewall. You can see the 5-second timer that was coded there. Once it depletes, the firewall then disappears or becomes a texture-free component or entity. Now, the last but not least other component that we have is the power-up component or entity. Basically, it resembles a coffee. Now, with the workspace, with servers or building with servers, obviously, most people rely on coffee. Hence, that's why we used coffee as a symbol of a power-up, because it gives the player energy. Now, in terms of energy, what this does to the player, it enables the player to move faster than before or than its normal moving moving speed, which enables the player to quickly reach a breached server or a server under attack and destroys those bugs. Now, the coffee as well is also programmed to have a 5-second timer, which after 5 seconds, it disappears. Now, it randomly spawns on the game, but it is also in a position where the player could quickly and reach it if the player chooses to go to it. Now, I'm going to please show the code of the powerup. Now, as you can see, you'll also see a line that says this entity or this object is supposed to be there for 5 seconds. Then after 5 seconds, the object disappears. That's how we've coded the powerup or the coffee component or entity. So henceforth, these are the components that are actually in the game and how we have chose to explain or further elaborate more on them, just like Sadia did on the player and the bugs itself. Now, to round up or to conclude the whole process of how the game was developed, I would like to take it back to Sahil, and he will further tell you more about the game development or conclude about the game development. Thank you.
All right, that was our game, Bug Squash Server Defense. A fun simulation of the services of an IT technician. Thank you so much for listening.
And sound is very important, especially when it comes to this project and when it comes to presentation. So what I'll do is ensure that the sound is there around the program now. And when I run it, what we can be able to hear, see the sound, can be able to adjust the sound so that you can be able to present it or be able to hear other sound effects as well. So say it back, and then I'll start playing, say no, and press any key. And then the sounds that I was speaking about is the sound of the swoosh when you are hitting something, and also when the pest is dying, it's the sound of the pest dying. So these are the sound effects that are very important in the game experience. But also there's another sound effect that I have to mention, which is a sound effect of when you reach level 3, or which is the boss stage. So I'll make sure to be able to include that sound, or to make sure that I highlight the sound as well. But again, basically the system is that you are a IT technician, and your duty is to protect the servers by all means, and you can use special techniques like firewalls, and you can be able to move fast as well using power-ups like coffee as well. So what we will do is that I want you to be able to hear the last and the most important. Thanks so much, and I hope you can be able to listen to this video and be able to forgive us. Thanks so much.